Hello, I wanted to make a quick video about the egg of life or the flower of life. And so you've got the 6 primary colors, the first 3 colors RGB, and then the colors in between, and then you get another color in between each of these. So if you were putting these into like energetic significance, this would be universal harmony. This would be compassion, this would be survival and acceptance, this would be creativity, this would be will, this would be empowerment, this would be heart or like determination, this would be inspiration, which is a combination of communication and heart. So then you'd have your communication, and then between communication and imagination, you have vision or like visionary or dreams, lucid dreamers, and then you have imagination, and here would be like spirituality, which is a combination of universal harmony, in other words, all things living together as one, and your imagination is where you get spirituality. And so I wanted to use this wheel as an example because they use this to talk about multiple entangled dimensions, which is what string theory is, universal field theory. So they're entangled at 2 points. All right, if you look at this on the back side, you notice there's a cross. So you get 1, 2, 3 sections that in spirituality this would be like the Father, the Son, and then the Holy Spirit, right? And so the idea is that each of these have a swivel point here, and then they have another swivel point on the outside. So that on the inside it swivels, and on the outside it swivels at a 90 degree. On the inside it swivels, on the outside it swivels at a 90 degree, swivels again, right? So this is how all these dimensions are connected. Now, what they discovered when they were looking at quantum mechanics is that Newtonian physics, single dimension of rotation, relatively easy to predict. Okay. Now, what Einstein discovered, or what he rather wrote, and also Nikola Tesla and a number of other scientists, was that there's actually 2 dimensions of rotation, in the sense that as soon as you put a second dimension of rotation, you get absolute chaos. It just becomes random, because the gears, as they shift this way, the amount of leverage being applied in each direction changes based on trigonometry, right? So if it's at a 90, it applies maximum force, and if it's over here, most of the force is transferred to the next dimension, right? Because it can't swing this way, so the inside dimension has to swing that way. And that's where you get these corrective mechanisms. Now, this looks like total chaos, right? This is unpredictable, in the sense that they didn't know what to do, but what they realized is that each observer had a unique outcome to themselves, each observer, and each experiment had a unique outcome. And I want to explain that. So imagine if you were a conscious observer of the universe, and you see these dimensions and how they're connected, and you make an observation that on the like pink, compassion, by pulling on that, you see spirituality. Now, as soon as you align your spirituality and your compassion, you can leverage your imagination. And as soon as you leverage your imagination, you reveal your dreams or your vision. Now, as soon as you leverage your dreams and your imagination, right, against your communication with the world, and you're speaking your truth and what you see, what your vision is, you'll unlock your inspiration. And when you have the ability to inspire yourself and others, you can move their hearts, and when you can do that, you can empower yourself and others. And when you have a sense of self-empowerment and empowerment, you can use your own will to leverage your creativity. And then you're at your creativity, and you can use your creativity to leverage your compassion. But see, the difference between this compassion is directed inward, towards the center, towards the self, towards creation. And this is externalized. You see, so it's a reflection. It's a self-reflection. You're reflecting the energy, the love that you have for yourself is reflecting outwards. This is the real nature of the universe. And the reason why it's fluid is because there's free will, there's choice. You choose how exactly you grab each one of these rings, how you handle each one of these chakras. Because if you understand how to pull them into alignment, all of a sudden, now if I'm moving on this dimension, everything's staying in alignment. And if I'm moving on this dimension, my heart is still in alignment. You see? Even if my body is disconnected, my heart's still in alignment. So the center can move both ways, right? It can move, rotate this way, it can rotate this way, and it never has to break symmetry in order to do that. This is like the path of 9, right? Is just traveling from how these points are located in relative to themselves and how they can best interact with themselves. You know, what are the best words that you could be using? Not the words that are true. What are the best words to accomplish what you're trying to do? And it all starts at the very beginning. Is compassion. It's not an accident. Compassion's at the center, and compassion towards self allows you to grow your spirit, right? It allows you to grow your self-worth. And when you grow your self-worth, all of a sudden you can really imagine yourself doing something. And then as soon as you can imagine it, you can't hardly help but talk about it. And then as soon as you talk about it, you find more and more people coming into alignment with what you're doing as far as compassionately and heart-centered. And they start moving their hearts with yours. And that's very empowering. There's a reason why they have control systems for people, because controlling the hearts and minds of people is extremely powerful. So if we empower ourselves to create a compassionate environment, I mean, that's the ultimate goal. I mean, that's the ultimate dream. Imagine a compassionate, creative, inspired vision of the heart. Oh, and you look at it from here, it's creative, empowered, and visionary, spiritual heart experience, right? So it's an amazing spiritual experience that's visionary and empowering and creative, and it's also compassionate as well as creative, as well as inspiring, as well as empowering, right? So it's the idea that when you look at these things in alignment, like this point is where you want to be in your life, and understanding how these gears fit together. Because if you're not making choices, right? Because they said consciousness affects matter, but if you're not making choices, if you're not choosing, then the universe is going to have you all mixed up, because it has to have you spinning, right, on 2 dimensions. But if you don't have yourself aligned in a way that will spin on 2 dimensions without being totally confusing, well, that's not the universe's fault. That's your ability to self-arrange or self-disorganize. So you can self-organize or you can self-disorganize. And if you want to self-organize and empower yourself and other people around you, understanding this and how these are chakras in the body, and the chakras in the body leverage each other, and how they can leverage each other is key. Because if not, there's only one way to maintain order, and that's to keep everything rotating on a single dimension. Newtonian mechanics. So the only way that we can stay where we're at is to not leave the solar system. Right? Is to stay where everything is predicted, but not in a way that is beneficial or even exciting for most people. That's why people pursue, a lot of the times, criminal activity. Is it's exciting as much as it is profitable. And in these sorts of situations where it's kind of boring, where everybody's stuck doing the same thing because the people are in power are afraid of losing control, because they say, well, hey, if we start spinning it on 2 dimensions, it's going to go crazy. We're not going to be able to have any health. We're not going to have any ability to live, and it's going to go into this sort of like chaotic turmoil. But the reality is, like I said, it's all about alignment. And if we just simply recognize that these things, these energies, these forces in the body, they interact with each other in very specific ways that allow us to have the most amount of leverage, right? It's like this gives you the most amount of leverage over your life, and then even in the center, it's like you still have freedom to change. You have freedom of choice. You know, just move your heart in any way that you decide, even if the whole planet is moving in the same direction. Your heart is still fluid. It still has the option to move in any direction it feels, and as it's moving with the planet. And same thing with all of these dimensions. They're in alignment, so they have the ability to leverage, but they also have fluid movement that's stable. So that's what they're looking for, is they're trying to get to this stable geometry, but it's choice. It's not experiment, and it's not prediction. It's intentional choice. It's like you're a lucid dreamer. You choose your dream experience. You choose it. And you either choose it unconsciously or consciously. And so this is about teaching people how to choose it consciously, you know, where your universal connection is at the center of your heart, right? And at the center of that is whatever it is that you believe in as far as love. Because harmony and love, it's what makes the dream worth being in, right? The rotation and the variation is what makes it exciting. But it's the heart, it's the love, it's the harmony. That's what makes it actually worth being here at all. But it's the excitement, right? The changes and the shifts that make it exciting to be here. So just by coming back to a center where you can experience excitement and stability at the same time, where you have fluidity as well as stability. I mean, that is the nature of water, okay? That's what we are, things that are electromagnetically stabilized, just like an atom. And so as more people come to realize this, they'll be using, you know, their compassion, right? How they treat themselves and how they treat other people to engage their spirit, and how much influence they have on the world. Because if you start treating a lot of people with love, you're going to find that your influence becomes deeper in those people, and the things that you see in those people changes, and their capacity to support you and your vision also changes. And so it's like all these things are all connected in a way that can be very simply explained just by understanding your chakras, right? But also how your chakras fit together. You know, how energy essentially flows in the universe gives us our best clue.